And here come the attendees. Here we go. Hey, Andre, how you doing? Hey, Goldstern. Hey, Mark. Frank. So, as usual, it'd be great to hear where everybody is dialing in from. Hey, Sue, Alan, Eva. Be lovely to know where you're all dialing in from. How's the weather where you are as well? Let's find out who's suffering the most at the moment. We're not doing too bad over here. We had some freezing weather over the weekend, but I think we're about sort of 6 or 7 degrees Celsius now, which is positively tropical. From Mike, another planet. Yeah, there's sounds like songwriters dialing in from another planet. Hey, Barbara, good to see you again. Mystic. It's Mystic, Connecticut.
Yeah, that's not far from where I am. Well, where we were, Martin, Westport.
Yeah.
Half hour.
Hi, Khaled. Hey, Susan. Hey, Tony. Stephen, Rich, Mike, Marika. Great to see you on here, Marika. Didn't we have a great weekend at the boot camp? Another Connecticut. There we go. Terryville. Do you know Terryville?
Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
Wow. That's your home county. State? State, yeah.
State.
Venezuela.
Oh my gosh. War zone. Aha. Love that.
Carlisle, Sussex, Kent. Susan's definitely on another planet at the moment. Susan, you always are. I don't mean it. From Vienna. Hi, Mark from Vienna. This is great. Yeah. Songwriting Academy World Domination. I love it. I love it. We've got this community right around the world of songwriters, artists, producers, all talking to each other, collaborating with each other. Toronto, Canada. Howdy. I thought howdy was the southern states, isn't it? I thought that's like cowboy talk. Yeah. Howdy. Cool. Oh, Poland. Fantastic. St. Petersburg. Brilliant. It's great to see everybody joining this live Q&A webinar. We're super, super excited. We've got a load of questions to get through today. And we're going to be just chatting about the music business, about songwriting, about production, whatever you want to talk about. Now, of course, we've got our regular sort of pre-submitted questions that we're going to be going through. But please do feel free as well to add your questions to the Q&A box. And if we have a chance to get through all of those, then we will definitely do that as well. And if we run out of questions, then we may have time to do song feedback, which will be really cool to do. And just a couple of points to note that if you've got a question that you want to put in, make sure you put it in the Q&A box, not the chat box. And also with the chat box, make sure that the setting at the bottom, please, is switched to all panelists and attendees. So both Jeff and the other attendees can see your questions. So it's my great pleasure to welcome a very dear friend of mine who I've known ever since just after the First World War, isn't it, Jeff? Something like that.
Civil War, but I'm glad that, stuff worked out back then.
And Jeff is a fantastic songwriter, an amazing pianist. He is just a wonderful mentor as well of the Songwriting Academy, much loved mentor of the Academy. And I'll blow a couple of trumpets for Jeff here, that one of his, well, several of his accolades include playing piano for Frank Sinatra, playing piano for Sammy Davis Jr. He's written with some amazing people. He's had songs recorded by sold 30 million records as a writer, writing for artists such as Josh Groban, NSYNC. Who else have you got on your list there, Jeff?
Sean Colvin.
Oh, yeah.
The Temptations.
Wow.
Placido Domingo.
Yeah, that's amazing. And the Sean Colvin song, Never Saw Blue Like That, I'm going to type it in here so you guys can go listen to it afterwards, because it's one of the most beautiful songs on the planet. Never Saw Blue Like That, Sean Colvin. Go listen to this song and you can hear Jeff at his finest. Absolutely wonderful pianist. We've written a bunch of songs together. We've just recently written with an artist over here in the UK that we've got a cut with. I think it's the first single, isn't it, Jeff?
Mm-hmm.
And we have had a great time working together, but also just hanging together. And based in the centre of New York, right in the centre of New York, beautiful apartment in Manhattan with a grand piano sitting in it. It's the dream. It's the dream. And this man's done it. He's been there. He's worn the T-shirt, and he's even had the that one of those great moments where you put the radio on. How many radio stations did you switch to in one listen and find your song playing at the same time? Three radio stations all playing one of Jeff's songs all at the same time. So this is the sort of the sort of caliber of mentor that we have in the Songwriting Academy, and that we're bringing to you guys to hopefully answer all of your questions and help you on your path to success as well. Make sure that if you know people that you think would benefit from this kind of advice, just get them to sign up for Songwriting Academy online and get them moving forward just like you. Don't hide it away and think, no, this is my baby, I'm not going to tell anybody about this. We want to create a community of songwriters right around the world that are all not only playing their songs to each other and talking to each other, giving feedback, but also collaborating with each other. And I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen on this webinar where people have been saying, hey, I'm going to be visiting, I think it was it Mark in Vienna, that somebody came over and visited you? It was somewhere in Europe that collaborations were being set up as we were talking. Something else I want to highlight before we start is that we have our dates for the songwriting retreats in Andalusia. This is an amazing week, and Jeff has been a mentor on these retreats, and he's going to be a mentor again in June of this year. But in May and June of this year, we have a week in Andalusia, in beautiful, beautiful hills of Andalusia, where we rent an entire village for a week, and we fill it with 36 songwriters, 4 of which are multi-million songwriters, multi-million selling songwriters, multi-platinum songwriters like Jeff Franzel, like myself. And we're there to help you through all of your writing sessions, to teach you as we go. But you also get a chance to a whole day writing session with either Jeff, myself, or one of the other mentors. You will be guaranteed a co-write with a multi-million selling songwriter. This stuff is like gold dust. So do make sure that you hit me up on Songwriting Academy, or you can, that would probably be the best place to do it. Just tag me on Songwriting Academy and ask me about the retreat. It's a life-changing week. You'll come home with 5 new songs in your pocket, one of them co-written with a multi-platinum selling songwriter, a whole day writing session. And every song you write, you'll be getting feedback on during the day and also in the evening to make sure it's the very, very best it can be. All of the accommodation is sorted, all of your food is sorted. You just need to get on a flight to Malaga and join us. These places are going like crazy. They're just being snapped up at the moment. So make sure you hit me up and ask me about the retreats and join us out in Spain for a week, because it will change your life. I promise you that. People cry when they leave because they've had such an amazing week. And of course, you come away with 35 new collaborators as well, which is just incredible. Tony Dennis, as you've seen on here, has been on one of these retreats and he's saying in the chat room, it's an amazing experience. Mike Wheeler, is a life-changing experience. And everybody that's been, thank you, Tony. I couldn't stop Martin crying when I left. Thank you, Tony. Yeah, I miss you, man. I miss you, man. I love you, man. So, hit us up on that, and trust me, you will not regret it. It'll be the best week of your life. So, okay, shall we crack on with some questions, Jeff? Are you hot to trot?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and in fact, we should also let's just have a show of hands as a kind of like a welcome to Jeff Franzel. Yay! And here come all the hands on the little attendee box there. That's brilliant. Thank you so much. Yeah, we love him to bits. Okay, so the first question is from Barbara Watkins. Hi, Barbara. So Barbara's saying, hi, Martin. I've just written a couple of quite sad songs. The stories in both are not anything that I think has been done before, but all the same sad. Is there still a place for songs like this, or are they not as likely to do well no matter how different the story being told may be? Or is variety still important? Jeff, what do you think about this? Is there still a place for sad songs?
Absolutely. I mean, my gosh, that's, so many, wonderful artists out there that have been recording, great songs. I'm going to give you a great example of something that I've had success with recently. Some of you are very familiar with an artist named Rhys Lewis in London. And he came to my first writing session with, he's lovely man, seemed sad. And I said, what do you want to write about? And he said, I broke up with my girlfriend and yet I want to be back. I think I'm her man. I really think I'm still, I want to be her man. I mean, that was basically the premise of the song. And we wrote this song. And by the way, it's become one of his most successful songs out there right now. And it's a sad song. It's a beautiful song. A sad song can also have hope. There's another song I wrote with him called Nothing as Lonely as Love, which when you hear it, it sounds like a very sad title, but there is hope in that premise, meaning you can get back to love if you communicate. So basically my feeling is don't just write sad songs, write, as you say, cover the whole palette, write tempo songs, write ballads, write them all. But there's something very, very profound about writing a sad song. So don't ever feel guilty in the least. Many successful songs have, believe it or not, I Will Always Love You is a sad song. It's about a breakup. That's not a happy, yet it's a wedding. People think it's a first, dance song, but that's a sad song. So basically keep your, my feeling is always write from your heart.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Jeff. It's like if you're feeling something, then that's going to have so much resonance with whoever's listening to the song. You can have two people writing a broken heart song and they can be almost identical, but the one that's really feeling it, there will be some undefinable element in there that just sells it so much more because it's believable, because it's real. So writing from your heart is absolutely key. And if you feel that this sad song needs to be written, absolutely go with it. Because, we all have those moments where we want to indulge in a bit of just like, just sort of that broken heart feeling. And yes, you're right, Barbara, it's a bit like therapy, because there are people that are going through sad things in their life everywhere across the world, millions of people that are going through sad stuff, probably billions. And we are the voice for people. We're the soundtrack for people's lives. So if we can encompass every kind of human emotion, then that can only be a good thing. And there will be a market out there for anything that's real and human. But the one caveat that I'll put to this is that if you're a songwriter writing for other people, and it probably applies if you're an artist as well, but just in the term, in the scheme of maths, usually on an album, on the old-fashioned album, there were 12 songs, and maybe 2 of them would be ballads or sad songs. And I tend to write in that proportion just because the maths tells me that I'm more likely to have success with songs that are mid to up tempo, more positive kind of songs. And the record companies I know, they're kind of a bit fed up with being sent ballads because a lot of them aren't that great. If there's a standout ballad, then they will definitely go for it. But they're generally looking for the more mid to up tempo stuff. The sort of songs that will get on drive time radio when people are on their way to work. that the radio wants to uplift them with, rather than sort of put them into a funk even before they've started their day's work. But if it's a genuinely authentic song that happens to be sad, then go with it, because it's needing to be written. Absolutely. Great question. Really, really good. Really good question. Thank you, Barbara. I hope that helps with you. Oh yeah, Mark Miner is saying Sam Smith would disagree. You know what, Mark? I liked a few of those, the early Sam Smith songs. I like the thing he did with Naughty Boy, you know, the la 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 la. And I listened to a few and I thought, yeah, I'll get the album. By the time I'd got about 2/3 of the way through the album, driving along the M25, which is the big motorway that goes around London, I was shouting at the stereo in my car, just going, for God's sake, just cheer up, because everything was just so, oh, it's like, woe is me. And he really struggles with writing anything happy. But first album, big success. Second and third, it's just kind of like going down a bit. So I think you can overdo the sad songs personally. So, but yeah, very good that you pointed out Sam Smith. And Eva is saying requirements for the song libraries, they want 90% of them to be happy songs. Yeah, I mean, if you look at advertising companies as well.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah, advertising companies, they want positive, uplifting themes, because that sells products. And at the end of the day, we're trying to sell a product. But again, is that thing of, if you feel it, then write it. You just can't stop it.
And I think Martin and I would agree. If any of you out there are working with a particular artist, or you know, you could be obviously the artist, but say you're, you know, Martin and I work a lot with artists. We have to go with what they're feeling, and a lot of times it's about their life, you know, and you don't have a choice sometimes. If somebody comes in and they just broke up with somebody, or they're upset, you've got to write that feeling. So my advice is, if you're going to be writing with an artist or writing with a co-writer, if you're going to write a sad song, write a happy song. Write 2 songs, you know, and don't just write those sad songs, but keep it moving. That's why, you know, Martin is specifying how important, you know, EPs and albums have more up tempos. So just keep it fresh, keep the circle going, writing, you know, writing a variety of material. I think that's important.
Yeah, yeah. There's one other thing you can do as well. If you've got a sad song that might be running at 60 BPM or 70 BPM, you can, there is a writer whose name escapes me, I was told once, a female writer in America that writes these very slow kind of ballads. And then she speeds them up. She puts them up to like 115, 120, 125 BPM. And suddenly they sort of sound quite jolly, even if the lyric isn't jolly. You know, so that's another way of looking at it, just speed the darn thing up as well. Great question. So second question from Daryl saying, howdy, after I've created a song outline based on the theme, I create the first draft. So I think this is referring, Jeff, to our song planner that we teach. Yeah. So we get the song outline, you know, the theme, the brainstorming, and then the song plan. Over the next 2 weeks and sometimes months, I massage and tweak virtually every line. Even the major hook, which may have started the ball rolling, is not immune to my edits. What percentage of your first draft survives to the finished lyric? I'm happy to dive in on this first, Jeff, if you're okay with that.
Go for it, and then I'll contribute. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Daryl, I love the fact that nothing is immune to being edited. I think, and that thing, I think I might steal that from my courses, that, you know, nothing's immune to being edited, because that's exactly what I think it should be, that you should allow everything to morph and change and let the song be its best self when you're writing. And I'm very much the same. I will tweak and prod and worry my song. If I have the luxury of weeks and months to do this, I will keep worrying it, every little line, every little syllable, until it's, for me, the best it can possibly be. And usually with your gut instinct, especially if you haven't listened to a song for a few days and you listen to it and then suddenly go, if you really listen to your gut instinct, you'll think there's something not quite right about this, you know, something tripping over the words maybe. And it's best to listen back to it rather than singing it, because then you're only doing one thing. But there's usually something that will stick out to me as like, it needs fixing, or it's not making me excited enough, or it's not raising enough emotion in me, whatever kind of song it may be. So percentage wise, it varies. Sometimes I get lucky and a bigger percentage of that first draft lyric will be retained in the song. Other times I've completely rewritten choruses. I've definitely rewritten a lot of middle eights, and keep prodding and pushing until you feel great about it, regardless of the percentage, would be my advice. Love the question. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Martin. I think there are two important elements when you're writing lyrics. The sound of the words are extremely important. The marriage, we talk about this in the academy, the marriage of, what's the word for that? The marriage of the lyric and the melody.
Oh, the prosody.
Yeah, we talk about how important that is. And the other thing that I stress, a lot of you have heard me say this, is how to say an unfamiliar theme in a familiar, how to say a familiar theme in an unfamiliar way. To really challenge yourself to write not generically. And this is one of the issues I find with the lyricists that I write with, that many people tend to settle for a safer, comfortable way of saying something rather than going for something more daring, more not as obvious. So I feel, again, like Martin, Never Saw Blue is written in 3 or 4 hours. No rewrites, no changes at all. That was very lucky. The chemistry in the room was amazing. But many times, more than not, it's a lot of rewriting. The art of writing is to rewrite. Don't ever forget that. It's a very healthy thing. Martin is amazing. He's a stickler, when it comes to lyrics, and I think it should be it should be very. All of you should be very patient and willing to continue to challenge yourself and to rewrite, and making sure the words sing beautifully, lyrically. Make sure the words are lyrical, not you're not writing a lawyer a lease, using these, memorialize and correcting and, we want words that are sensual, that can sing. And really, you know what? I read a lot, and I think it's important to listen, read, keeping the vocabulary. I know a lot of Nashville writers, why there's so many great country writers, they read books, and it's important to keep the language fresh, keep listening, and yeah, just challenge yourself and take your time.
Yeah, great advice. And just reading, you just get great titles as well.
Yeah.
Just little ideas for songs. Any kind of resource that brings information into your mind and your heart and your soul can only be a good thing. So great question again. Thank you for that. Here's another one. Julie Shibaro saying, "Hi Martin, is there a way you could possibly clarify what it means to have one purpose in your song? For example, is it to answer why I'm writing a certain song, or is it usually in the hook or refrain?" So I think I get where you're coming from here, Julie. For me, it's important to have one agenda in a song, and I'll try and demonstrate what I mean by that. If I were to write a lyric that said, I'm leaving you. This isn't working. I'm leaving you because, I need to find myself, and I'm going to go and travel around the world to all of these different countries, and I'm going to see this here and there, and I'm going to see the Taj Mahal, and then I'm going to go and see this. Then for me, to hear a song like that, I would feel confused about what the song is about. Is it about leaving that person, or is it about I need to go and see all of these sites in the world to make myself a better person? And immediately there's two kind of threads that almost need explaining. because it's not just leaving someone because you wouldn't just leave someone because you want to go traveling. It would be, usually there would be, if it was a strong relationship, there would be something wrong in the relationship, and that would need defining in the lyric. It's like, well, why are you leaving me to go traveling? Why aren't you asking me to come with you to go traveling? Why can't we do this together? And it's like, what have I done wrong? And I know we've had arguments, and so there's all of that side of it. Or is it that wanderlust? Is it just, for me, it's two separate songs. One of them is I'm leaving you because I'm not getting what I want from this relationship. And the other song is about I have wanderlust and I need to go and see the world. And they're two separate themes. And so that's what I mean about having one purpose of your song, one agenda to the song, just to keep it easy to follow. That's my interpretation of your question and my answer to that. Have you got any other thoughts on this, Jeff?
Well, I think one of the, it's interesting, Martin, one of the major elements of your academy is what's the point of a song? And I use that all the time. And I think that should help to clarify, Julie, that I ask that question almost every session I'm in with the co-writer, especially since I'm not the main lyricist. I mean, I guide a lyricist, come up with a few lines. So I say to them, what's the point of this? And I think many more times than not, there's a lot of people deviate. They go, well, yeah, I like my boyfriend, but I want to write a song because I want to move on. But I said, but what's the point? I said, well, I'm pretty sure I want to. I said, what's the point? Well, I want to break up with my boyfriend. Good, let's write about that. And that's what I learned from Martin, because in the seminars, he'll be asking, and literally after 10 responses, they get to the point. So, like my song that Martin said I heard 3 times on the radio, it's called "Don't Rush Me." Don't rush me. It's a love song. I've made that mistake before. It's about, I don't want to rush into love. It's a very, very get to the point kind of song. And that's, to answer your question about the hook, I think, to me, what makes great titles are when the story unfolds from that title, when you really know where do broken hearts go. Right? Whitney song is, those are, I can't make you love me. Hello. You can't get, those are the strong, Martin's Leanne Rimes song, those are the really poignant songs. So I would just say, try to be very clear on what you want to say in a song. Don't have too many, tangents.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for referring back to the hook again, because Julie, once I know what my song is about, it's important to remember that the first thing that passive listeners hear when they hear a song, not people that are actively listening to when you say, hey, could you listen to my song, please? Passive listeners of a song, the first thing that attracts their attention is the melody. And usually the strongest melodies, the most hooky melodies are in the chorus. We know that. So therefore, that's the first thing they hear. The second thing they're going to hear is the chorus lyric. Once they've gone, oh, I love that melody. And this all happens in a heartbeat. But then they're listening to the chorus lyric. But if the chorus lyric is just saying, and that's why I just said what I did, then you go, I don't know, there's an awful lot of time and investment I've got to make to actually find out what this song is about. So for me, I always want to say what the point of my song is in the chorus. And I also ask myself, does the chorus work as a standalone item? So if somebody only heard the chorus, would they know what my song is about? Because if they do, then they're going to invest, in my opinion, they're going to invest more time listening to the song, and they're going to have more interest in listening to the rest of the song, because they go, oh yeah, I know how that feels. And so they'll listen to the rest of the song. But if it only works when you know what the verses are saying, then I think that narrows your chances a little bit of keeping somebody in the song. So I love to say what the point of my song is. But going back to what Jeff said earlier about lyric writing, about finding a new way to say something that's a very universal theme. You know, if the point of the song is I'm leaving you, which, you know, like Jeff was just using as an example with the co-writer, I'm leaving my guy. It's like, well, you know, it may not be the most original hook to have I'm leaving you, but it could be you look for different ways to say what you want to say. And I do things like go onto Google Images and quotes about, because I love pretty pictures, you know, so a little pretty picture with, you know, it could be about leaving someone, and it could be just as I'm out of here, or it could be a different parlance for I'm leaving you, or it could be another, you know, there might be a poem which says I'm leaving you because of the blah blah blah, and there could be your title in there that says I'm leaving you but in a different way. So there's lots of elements that go into here, but for me the main thing is having a point to the song, one point to the song, and saying it in your chorus. And then people can always tune into that. So I hope that makes sense anyway. Thanks for that question, Julie. Awesome. And Eva is saying, you know, I've written a song and sent it to the professional critic, and he said that the idea is wonderful, but there are 3 songs in this one. And I've heard, you know, I've heard many songs that have that, different agendas in them. So I think one agenda. Okay, I think I've got it right. Good. Yeah, I think we've probably sort of nailed that one down, Julie. So thank you for that. Okay, question for, oh my gosh, I can't believe we've done half an hour already here, Jeff. So Erwin Cruz. Hi, Erwin. Great to see you again. Hi, Martin and Jeff. A question on switching chorus vocals on some songs and the idea of consistency versus a little diversity. I'm assuming we're talking lyrics here again. I plan on writing and producing an album this year. My approach on the vocals for choruses would follow the melodic contour way. That is, you know, going up to the mountaintop in the chorus. I'm glad this is all sinking in, Erwin. That's great. I know that this is the recommended way if the goal is writing hit records, but every now and then you hear a song like Better Off Without by Arma J, where the vocals are consistently on the same note, but with the instruments being the part that takes the higher notes into the song's climax. Okay, so songs that don't reach that mountaintop chorus peak in the pitch of the melody. Would it be all right to apply a similar approach for my album, in that a couple of the songs won't always have the vocals bring the chorus higher, but rather have the instruments carry the high notes? I think it would add a little diversity to the album, and hopefully when released publicly, listeners would enjoy it as well. Jeff, what do you think?
Well, first of all, don't get too heady with these ideas. Use your gut, and when I mean that by that is diversity is important, you know, very important. But I like to think that the lyric sometimes directs the melody. You know, by not being too anal with, you know, oh, I got to keep my, you know, my melody linear. I don't want to spike it. I think whatever, first of all, there's no right or wrong way to write a song. That's clear. So don't think, okay, you know, of course it's always have the spikes or da-da-da-da. Get rid of that. But what I think Martin and I tend to agree on is that we like contrast. We don't want something to be just all, you know, this way, you know, just static. We want, that's why Martin, you know, is another beautiful example are the 3 characteristics of melody, you know, the static, spike,
disjunct.
Yeah, disjunct, conjunct. And I think just to make it really clear for you, you can allow the instrumentation to lift your chorus, but my personal feeling is to make the melody do that. Lift the chorus by the melody, and again, if it doesn't feel like you need to lift it, don't. There's no, you know, it doesn't have to. But I think what is really important when you're writing songs is to make sure that your sections, you know, the pre, if you even have a pre, the verse, choruses, there's something distinctive about each section that makes something together. I always think of a song like a movie. There's a beginning, middle, and end. So have something develop to make it stand out. But again, if you feel that the melody needs to be, as the examples you gave, you don't have to always have something that lifts. But sometimes let the lyric determine how your melody should be.
Yeah, great advice. I completely agree with everything Jeff just said. Having contrast between the parts for me is just a very easy way of strengthening your song. But not all songs do this. And something to note about, and I also love the thing about, the melody reflecting the lyric is really key as well. And something to think about with the contrast, it might be that your verses could be sung up in a falsetto range, and then your chorus suddenly goes to sort of just a low voice, and it's the reverse thing. You're going into a valley, not a mountaintop. And there are some songs that do that, none of which can I remember right now, but there are some songs definitely that do that. And the other thing to bear in mind is that if you're doing a song which is more sort of what we call pillow talk, okay, so if we're talking about an intimate, sensual kind of song, if you think about the context of the song, okay, as a precursor to this, if you were singing a song about yes I can be amazing today, then your chorus is, your verse is like, well, I wasn't feeling so great yesterday, and even if we were just talking it through, but today I feel amazing, and just the way that we talk about things, the vocal pitch gets higher by doing this. But if we're talking about a love song where you're sort of lying in bed next to someone on the pillow, hence pillow talk, I don't mean the Zane Lowe song, but this is something where you may not necessarily need to be going, oh my God, I want to make love to you. It wouldn't be that. It could be very low and, oh my gosh, I really want to be with you. And that's the way that you would say it in that context, in that situation. So that could be a really great place to not even think about going to this big la kind of moment, unless it's later on. But you get what I mean. It's all about the context. This is echoing what Jeff said, really, about what the lyric is saying. And so with the real sensual stuff, if you listen to a lot of sort of R&B urban music where they're talking about, getting interested in each other, there aren't so many sort of like huge high choruses or something. It's quite cool and sensual. Yeah, that's my thoughts about it. There's always exceptions to every rule, and choruses don't always have to go to a high point. We know that in a lot of songs it works, but other songs, follow your gut, like Jeff says, follow your gut and see what feels best. Yeah. Great, thank you, Jeff. This is great having somebody just answer all of the questions.
These are very good questions, by the way.
Yeah, and I'm loving the fact that all I have to say is, yeah, I agree with Jeff. It makes my job so much easier. Okay, that wasn't a question, whatever that is.
No, wait, where are we now? I must.
Question 5. Here we go, from Stephen White.
Right. Okay.
Hi, Martin. A question for both you and Jeff. Can you ever know that what you have written will sell, or at least be popular? I think I know where we're going with this one, Jeff. I'm sure I speak for many when I say that as a newbie songwriter trying to get a break in a fickle industry, one cannot fall back on any established credibility or an everlasting supply of money to produce a song to the nth degree. So is it possible to know that the song is worth a risk to produce it and push it until it breaks? I think this is the one key conundrum that stifles my own creativity. Love this question. Jeff, how can you ever know whether a song is worth spending time and money producing?
Well, first of all, I want to boast about Martin and the Songwriting Academy, because I think what is so beautiful, what is so great about this academy that Martin and I didn't have when we were starting out, is that we didn't have a supports team, where we could send a song and get this feedback and to say, hey man, this is a smash. Like for example, Maria and I are working with one of your writers right now here in New York, and it's clearly that the song that he wrote it's potentially a hit, and we're really both championing him to do whatever he can. We didn't have that. So I'm going to get to even a deeper part of this question, but for now, basically what I'm saying is use the Songwriting Academy to help you to determine which of your songs, are potentially hits. First of all, I do believe in my heart that you all know when you have written one of those top level songs. I knew it when I wrote Never Saw Blue. We all knew it in the room. I knew this is going to be a smash, and this was 20 years ago. Song is still reaping income and doing well and generating longevity. That's called an annuity, which I believe we all know when we've written that undeniable song. Yes, so to get into the basics, do your homework, get the best of the best. We've always talked about in the Academy how important it is to surround yourself with producers, demo places, great singers, mixing, make sure it's mixed properly. Spend $1,500 if you have to on an incredible demo. The good things about ballads is that you can get away with a good piano vocal, but it better be damn good. Great singer. So yes, I think more importantly, you have a team right here of people that are going to help you to guide you through that hard, difficult navigation that Martin and I had to go through 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And to clarify the difference for some of you guys who are members of the Online Academy to the members of the Songwriting Academy, which is based in the UK, which is more of the live stuff. So on the Online Academy, you've got an amazing community there of like over 1,000 people around the world that you can put your songs up there and ask for feedback. And just getting regular feedback from people that, I guess what we call them here is punters, clients, if you like, people that might buy your song out in the world that aren't necessarily sort of professional songwriters themselves, or of course a lot of you are songwriters, but just getting feedback from anybody is great feedback, because that tells you how it's going down. And if you're getting a load of feedback that's saying, wow, this is amazing, incredible, then you've got something pretty good, from a basic demo. And that it's probably worth spending time and money. And reflecting what Jeff said, echoing what Jeff said, you definitely have that gut instinct when something has got something special. You may have, and I always think, try and get sort of 5 songs together and then look at those 5 songs, and you'll know which is the best one. It's like picking your favorite child. Come on, we've all got favorite children. So, it's pick your favorite child, let the other one, whatever. And work on that, on the song that you really feel has got that potential to it. Just go with your gut intuition a lot of the time. But yeah, so there's the online community, but also if you want to become more involved, where you're actually getting the professional mentors giving you feedback on your song, on your songs. There is a mentoring program which we offer as part of the Songwriting Academy in the UK. We have global members around the world that are getting feedback on their songs, full written feedback, sometimes audio feedback, multiple feedbacks on the same song, to make sure, and advice to make sure that it gets up to that next level. It's a very lengthy process for the mentors, and so it is a paid for program. But this is available. If anybody's interested in finding out more about the mentoring program and all of the benefits of that, then again, please message me and I will tell you more about that. But even just on the online academy, you've got a huge community of people that can give you advice on your song. So take advice, listen to feedback, and don't, when you've got a bunch of people that comes back and they say, I'm just not sure about verse 2, don't fight them and say, well, you just don't get it. They're your audience. So listen to your audience, whoever they may be. So yeah, I think it's a great question. Really great question. Right, next question. This is from Jonathan Michaels. Hi, Martin and Jeff. Thank you for being here. Here's my question. How can a person stay true to his moral values and artistic vision and still be commercially successful? What a great question. Jeff, how can someone stay true to their values?
Really wonderful question.
Yeah.
I think the first thing, again, I always thought about this, but it became clear when I was part of the academy, is the most important person to in my mind, and I believe in Martin's mind, when we write a song, is to please the listener. The listener is the one who we're writing for. So you first have to ask a question, am I writing for the listener, or am I writing just for myself? Do I want to write an art song, which is fine, or do I want to write a song for the listener? I would say that probably everyone on this webinar would agree that you want to write for the listener. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I believe that, including you, Jonathan. So if you want to write for the listener has to be moved in some way to feel what you're writing. Okay. That's the commercial success that I think all of us want. Okay. Now, how do you get that commercial success? This is where I feel, like my song Never Saw Blue, like that, which is a good example. It's not your typical generic love song. It's said in a more of a special, unusual way. And I think I'm just gonna say it again. Familiar theme in an unfamiliar way is where I see the artistic, talent coming through, for you to strive to find ways of saying themes that are going to move people emotionally in a more of an artistic way. That's where I think you can combine the artistic and commercial success, where you're a little off beaten track. I always like to think when I'm writing music to sometimes have that weird chord somewhere, or that weird, like, wow, that just came out of nowhere. And, look for those parts in the song where, whether it's a lyric, a melody, where you're taking chances. And that's where I think, the moral values of your vision are going to come to fruition. It's going to be truthful, honest, when you can find ways of saying things in a different way. And that's where the artistic thing comes in. But don't ever forget that we're writing for the masses out there.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said again, Jeff. And this is something that I've discussed in great length on different courses and just personally with people as well. Authenticity is so important in songwriting. Personally, I think it's possibly the most important thing in songwriting. Whether you're an artist writing for yourself or whether you're a songwriter writing for other people, the authenticity of what you're writing about, it will come through. So if you're writing something that defies your moral values, it won't be authentic. It'll be contrived, and it will just be contrived, and it won't resonate with people. So absolutely write about what you want to write about, create the art that you want to create, but also bear in mind that about what your demographic is going to be if you want it to be commercially successful. So if you were writing a song about you know, well, I want to bring back the quince as one of the most important fruits in the fruit bowl, then there's going to be a limited audience for that. It might be something that's really important to you, but there will be a limited audience for people that will go, oh, finally, a song about quinces in the fruit bowl. You know, you're going to limit yourself. So I think writing about the human condition will always be universal, as opposed to, for instance, I don't write protest songs because I know that there will, the reason they're protest songs is because there will be X amount of people that will disagree with you because you're disagreeing with something that a lot of people are agreeing with. But that's the nature of a protest song. So I already know that is limiting my audience. If I want to write something that's a protest song because I feel it so strongly, I will still write it, but I'm not expecting it to be commercially successful. So there's a difference. It's about what our expectations are as well when we write something. If we're writing about quinces, then don't necessarily expect it to be commercially successful, but it will scratch the itch that you have to be artistic and to express yourself. But I've always said about art that if an artist paints a painting and they're doing it, if it's art for art's sake, then they can just paint the painting and go, yeah, that's great, and just put it under the bed and say, yeah, I've done that, I've expressed myself. But I believe the moment they hang it on the wall of a gallery, they're seeking public approval in some way, shape or form. Even if it's a Damien Hirst sheep in formaldehyde, you know, yes, he was being out there, but he was seeking public approval. It went into a gallery. And at the point that you're seeking public approval, then you need to consider what the public might approve of. So it's the happy balance between writing about what you feel and what is going to be relatable for other people as well. So you can be as selfish as you like with your, and I mean that in a non-aggressive way. You know, you can write about yourself and your feelings and this is my vision about as much as you like. But if you want it to be commercially successful, you also need to consider how that might reach as many people as possible in their souls. So this is a perennial question that I love, and it's something I feel very passionately about because authenticity is everything. But I've sometimes likened it to like being on like there's a bridge and you're over here writing about just what you want to write about. Over here are the listeners wanting a certain song. And I think if you just meet somewhere in the middle where you're still writing what's true to you, but other people can relate to it, then that's the winning formula for me. So everybody's happy at the end of it and you're not selling out, as some people call it. So that's my thoughts on it, Jonathan. And I'm so pleased you asked this question because, you know, we all started writing because we felt something. Yeah, great question.
Mm-hmm.
Leo Prods. Hey, Leo, great to see you here again. Dear Martin, which would you say are the secondary most seen emotions besides the four you suggest in songs? So for anybody that's unsure, that may not have seen the video that I did, which is Songwriting Lyrics 101, where we talk about the four strong emotions that we know have impact in people. So the one of fight, which is where, yes, I can do this, that thing of self-empowerment, feeling like you're 10 foot tall and bulletproof. There's get it on, which is, you know, obviously about making love, which is, again, is a really strong emotion, very hard to fake. Well, for some people not, but getting it on. There is dance. If you can make people get up and dance without asking them to, then that's a really powerful song you've got there. And cry, of course, you know, songs that make people cry, that spontaneous, strong emotions. So let's see if we could, the secondary most seen emotions. This is a really, really good question. We should brainstorm this, Jeff, because I haven't thought about this before, about the other emotions that you can make people feel that might make them get up and buy your record.
Well, one thing that Martin and I wrote, I mean, this is, I guess it's probably pertaining pertainable to crime, but we wrote a song for an artist whose sister had just died of cancer. And that was something that what was the title? Nobody knows?
Nobody knows. It was about somebody repressing their feelings of missing somebody else.
Right. That's a little different from the cry thing. I mean, right?
Yeah, it kind of falls in the cry category. I think the message songs, you know, there are lots of message songs out there that aren't necessarily punch in the air message songs. I mean, my song "Everybody's Someone" by Leanne Rimes and Brian McFadden is basically saying, hey, you know what? You know, you're just as important as the next person. And that's not a dance song. It's not empowerment in the sense of, hey, you know, I can do anything I want to today. You know, like I'm a survivor. It's not one of those kind of punching the air Superman songs or Titanium. It's not one of those. It's that thoughtful song. So I would say one of the strongest ones for the secondary set would be that thought-provoking, making people think about maybe creating some kind of empathy with other people, you know, realizing that there are other people in the world who have emotions and we should maybe reach out to them, you know. So this kind of, you know, I guess Feed the World might be one, you know, that wasn't, I wouldn't say that falls into Fight, Get It On, Dance or Cry. It's, hey, let's all get together and, you know, help other people. Yeah, and Chris is saying introspection. So something that's got a message that is thought-provoking would be one of them.
I wrote a song. Actually, he's coming over here after the webinar. A very talented artist named Anthony. They're Will and Anthony. They're a twins team. And the first song we wrote, they came over and told me it was real. I knew something was wrong when they walked in the door, and they said that they just found out that their mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. So the good news is that she's okay now. But I thought, wouldn't it be really cool to write a song to celebrate her life, kind of to show how much she has affected you guys. So we wrote a song, and it was called "The Gift Is You." So it's a celebration song. I don't know if that's a...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, celebration song. And, you know, you just prompted me, Jeff, you know, look at all of, you know, Stevie Wonder, Happy Birthday.
That's right.
You know, again, we're writing about the human condition, though, and things that are very, very universal themes. You know, celebrating someone's life. Every time someone goes to a funeral and therefore a wake, you know, everybody always wants to say, no, let's celebrate their life. You know, let's not necessarily just be mourning here. Let's be celebrating their life. We've got a few other suggestions here. Mike Wheeler is saying comedy and laughter. And yeah, there is a market for comedy songs. It's less of a market unless you get it absolutely spot on. Angry songs, yeah. So yeah, I guess there's a certain amount of rock songs that you know, there's the rage in there. It could be the sort of the teenage angst kind of songs. And what have we got? Yeah, all death metal. Chris has said all death metal. Yeah, so they're there, but you know, it's always about thinking about again what you want to write about, but also what people are going to respond to. And the more universal the feeling is, the greater chance of success. But it's got to be authentic to you again. So what a great question, Leo. Love that question. Okay, we are doing okay. We're at 7 o'clock here already. What time is it over there, Jeff, in New York?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. Okay, brilliant. Thanks for taking your lunch break with us. That's fantastic. Thank you. Michael Peverell Walton. Dear Martin and Jeff, in composing, I normally play around with ideas on the acoustic guitar first until a melody line and lyrics come to mind. Maybe this is limiting in a sense. I would be interested to know whether Jeff starts with a melody in his head first and then builds harmony and chord structures on his piano, or other instrument, or whether he starts with chord ideas, and progressions on the piano first, inspiring a melody line. Perhaps he starts with a lyric idea and builds from there. Could he explain what works best for him? Love that question, Mike.
Very good question. First of all, there's no one set way that I write, just to let you know. There are many different ways. If I do start with the music, one of the differences of what I do versus many other composers is that I'm not a singer. I don't sing, I don't come up with a melody and then come up with the chords. What I do is the chords are within the melody are within my chords. So I do a progression, but I don't just do a chord progression. I work around a melody within the chords. And that gets me inspired. And that a lot of times inspires an artist or a lyricist in the room because they're hearing the song. They're hearing the song. They're hearing the melody and the chords. And but more, I'm going to even say something more important than everything I just said, and that is groove. The rhythm should be first. The rhythm of what you do is, to me, propels the feeling. And this comes in my instrumental music I write, or even in the songs. It always starts with a feel, a groove internally. Now, if I'm doing a dance track or something, I a lot of times want to start with a loop, or if I work with somebody like Martin, who has more of the programming together, a beat sometimes will get me inspired. But I've already said everything here, but I have even a higher level. If you give me a title, give me a title, and man, I will run with that. Because I'm a kind of a writer that I'm very visual. If you give me a theme, give me something to write about, that will get me going more than just me sitting at the piano. But both ways work. But if you come up and say, like the Reese Lewis idea, be your man, I'm just ba do do dwee da do da do dwee da da do do dwee. I just come right up with the hook, the melody, not the hook of the chorus, but the beginning motif, and it comes from the chords, da 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 F major, da G, da E minor to F. All that melody comes within the chords. So this is where I'm going to be very discerning, very what's the word? I'm going to be focused here, where I really encourage all of you to learn your scales and chords, because it helps to, not only if you're writing with a composer and you're more of a lyricist, to kind of get an idea of hearing chords with the scales, because that's the basic of your song. Okay, so that, I hope that helps you, because again, I don't just plunk chords. That to me doesn't write it. That's not songwriting. Songwriting for me is when I hear the melody with the chord.
So Jeff, just as I'm just wondering, are you on your laptop at the moment that you might be able to go over to your piano?
Yes, I can. Let me do that right now.
Hands up who would like to hear Jeff play something. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I want one of you to give me a theme, and I'm going to play. Just say something that's emotional, not political.
Yeah, Chris, dog parks isn't exactly emotional. Nice try. Let's have a theme from somebody. Sibling rivalry, I'm starving. Let's have... okay, here we go. Oh, like this. Julie Shibaro saying, keep me warm.
Okay.
That's beautiful, Jeff. Fabulous. Na, 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 keep me warm. Na, 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 da, da, dawn. Absolutely gorgeous. Big round of applause for Jeff there. Yeah, thank you so much, Jeff, for doing that. That was brilliant. So this is what we do. You know, when Jeff and I sit in a room, we'll just like throw some title ideas around and some themes and concepts. And oh, Jeff, you're frozen. You might need to go back to where you were before.
Yeah, I do. It's much better in the other room.
So, you know, and so Jeff would start playing, and if there hadn't been a time lag, I would have started singing along. I would have started singing along and just jamming some ideas about Keep Me Warm. And this is, you know, we just sort of get some ideas like that. But of course, we would be at this stage after we've talked for a long time about what the idea is. It's like, who's keeping who warm, and, you know, and why, and, you know, what's happened and what's the story. And we would plan the whole kind of song concept out. And then at that point, you know, Jeff has probably had 20 different melodic or sort of feel grooves come to his mind. And then when he starts playing, happened on the very first song that we ever wrote together, called You Own Me. And, you know, he just, by the time he played it and we'd talked about a load of ideas, it was exactly what I was hearing in my head. So, so yeah, great. Really, really good. Really good, Jeff. Thank you very much. So yeah, it's, I get what you're saying. It's about the feel of the thing, and it's almost like the chords are telling you what the melody should be.
Yeah, it's my language. You know, that's what I grew up with. So it's all comes from my heart. You know, I'm in that zone of warmth or whatever it is, whether it's angry or passionate love. Something has to be. That's why it's a very, like somebody had said, that's A flat. Yes, A flat major. It's the coloring of the chords and the melody that help to characterize what you want to say. So it's a cinematic. You're creating it's like a movie score. It's not like it is. It's a score. You're scoring the language.
Yeah.
And that's where you need to know your chords and melodies. You need to know what are the minor, what are the darker, what are the more lighter, what are the more open, you know, vowel, the melodic quality, what are the dissonance, what's that tritone, what's the minor, finding out those tones, you know, the tones for the colors of what you want to express.
Yeah, brilliant. And Tony was saying, Jeff, can you hear lyrics in your head as you play?
Sometimes. I didn't there because I was more focused when I do that is more on the structure of the song. You know, I was thinking, you know, I was thinking of building into this, building it. So I'm not as, I definitely feel like the way you sang warm, it sounded beautiful. That's kind of what I was going for. So intuitively, yes, but not like, okay, I'm thinking lyrics per se. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Jeff. Really, really good. Love that. Love that to bits. And great question, Michael. Okay, so question 9, Alessia. Hi, Martin and Jeff. Thank you for this meeting. Today's question is about compromise when writing lyrics. Are there any trends when it comes to lyrics? And I don't mean the length or a structure or a hook. The Songwriting Academy courses cover these, but I'm speaking about topics, ideas, phrasings. Do you keep in mind popular themes, or do you analyze what top songs are about? Or do you completely free yourselves when it comes to subject and phrasing? Is this, so there's lots of questions in here. Mm-hmm. So Jeff, is there such a thing as a trend when it comes to song theme at all?
Well, it depends on the style that you're writing. Okay. For example, when I was in LA last August, I was writing a country song with a country writer. Okay. And everybody knows that country music the language is very different from, you know, your urban type of a song. Again, it's becoming the character of what you're writing. You know, in country music, obviously you want to get more into in the rural, you know, the truck, you know, the feelings, but where are you writing for? You're writing in the South, rural America, right? You're not, it's not so much an urban type of a lyric. But I would say, it's very important to know the language of what if you're trying to write a pop song, you know, today, I think you really have to understand the language. That's why, you know, Martin, it's hard for people our age to know, you know, what are the kids, what do they want to write about? What do they want to sing about? It's tough. And it's not about being clever, and, you know, and it's a different lingo. And so, yes, listen to what is out there. And again, you know, a lot of people tend to chase things. And I think the thing I recommend for you lyricists out there is to write from what you want to write. What is it that what style feels comfortable for you? And again, if you do want to write for the, you know, younger market, sometimes it's good to collaborate with a 25-year-old, you know, a writer who has maybe more of an idea what the language is, and getting some inspiration. But if you are 25, which probably some of you or most of you are, it's get out, listen. You know, that's my suggestion.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, again, we sort of come back to that thing of authenticity when we're writing. And for me, nothing is out of bounds. But like I said before, you know, there are certain things that are going to be more relatable to more people. So I don't necessarily worry about themes. I tend to write a lot of love-based things. That's just my thing, I guess. It's, you know, a reflection of my character. But I had a meeting yesterday. We're going to be holding a seminar in the UK with a great urban artist called Taz, he's Ivor Novello winning urban artist and producer. He's worked with Dizzy Rascal amongst other great people. And I was saying, you know, I was trying to get to the bottom of, you know, what is urban music all about? I said, you know, what sort of things do you write about? You know, what's it about? And he said that, you know, the defining elements of urban music, you know, talking about what Jeff says, depends what kind of genre you're in as well. You know, it's a lot of stuff about against the system, and they'll be talking about, he says it's always about real life. It's always about real life. It's about attitude. It's about speaking the truth. And it could be about money, the stuff that you've got, you know, as you hear with a lot of urban artists. It can be about pain. It can be about relationships. But they're all sort of like very real things. But the thing that he kept coming back to was saying, it's about real life. It's about real life. Real life. We're talking about real life. You know, just kept coming back to this. And I just kind of said, well, you know, that's songwriting full stop. You know, so, you know, thematically, and here's the other thing about sort of listening to current music. We can draw influences from current music for sure. We can absolutely do that. But if you sort of think, oh, well, lots of people are singing about this at the moment. Everything that you're hearing at the moment is at least 18 months old. It's been created a long time ago. It's been created at least 18 months old, because that's how long it takes to put together the whole project, to do the recording, to do the marketing from the labels, all of this kind of thing. And so if you try and then copy what's happening now, then in 18 months time, if it's then out in 18 months time, it's 3 years old. From when people were first writing about this, you're behind the trend. So I always say, you know, look at what's going on now, but try and think, certainly stylistically and production wise, try and think about what's happening ahead of the curve. You know, look ahead of the curve and see what's happening around the corner, so you can sort of predict maybe what's happening in the next style of music. But lyrical trends, I wouldn't follow them. I don't think I've ever followed trends. I do my thing, because trends, you're always following. You know, that's the thing. You're following, you're not leading. So, you know, Maybe there's going to be a whole new trend after this webinar for people writing about fruit. Who knows? You know, starting with the quince song, you know.
Yeah.
We could get Quincy Jones to produce it. Hey, so yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I wouldn't overthink what you're writing about. Just make it real.
One of the things that I know, this isn't actually pertaining right to this question, but I don't want you people to get freaked out about, oh my God, I got to get my production chops current. Oh my God, I got to get my music. Find what you do best and work on that to be current, and then making sure that you collaborate with people who are in that same league of you, you know, where they're whether they're producer, or if you're not a producer, or they're a composer, you're not a composer, making sure that everybody is in the now or looking to the future, because so many people tend to collaborate with people who are not with it, and you're gonna lose, you're gonna miss. You may be the best lyricist in the world, but you're as good as that collaborator. If he ain't or she not as, you know, contemporary, you're really defeating yourself. So this is, I know it's a little separate issue, but just making sure that you surround yourself with the best. Does that make sense, Martin?
Yeah, and I think this is a really good bit of advice. I think it is on topic as well, Jeff, because you know, I talk about this a lot about the amount of time that I spend on Spotify listening to current music is just ridiculous. And for me, this is learning. You know, it's not waste of time. I'm not sitting there thinking, oh yeah, I'm just spending my day listening to music, that'll do. You know, I'm spending a lot of time on journeys and stuff, finding new styles of music. And, you know, and again, recently we've got this urban masterclass coming up that I'm co-hosting. I'm not the expert on urban. The guy that I'm with is, and he gave me a list of people to listen to. And I've been listening to a ton of urban music recently. And it's just really, really opened me up to different styles of production, different types of lyrics, different lyrical flow, the phrasing, all of the different sort of singing or rapping threes over a four, you know, lots of triplets and swing feel lyrics over a straight 4/4 beat. There's so much interesting stuff going on. And, you know, I'm, as much as you might all like to disagree with me, I'm not 25 anymore. I know it's impossible to believe, but I need to be thinking, if I'm going to be writing for the charts now, I need to be thinking like anything from a 15 up to 30-year-old and beyond. I need to know what I'm talking about. So if I have an urban artist that comes in to work with me, I'm not going to look like an idiot. And more to the point, I'm not going to look out of date. Like I've passed my best sell-by date. You know, it's like the use by 2019 date on. None of us want that. So absolutely, I think, Jeff, what you're saying is work with people that are just like you, and make sure that you're one of those people that is really up on current music that you're interested in writing. And in fact, I'd say all types of current music. Doesn't mean you have to dump all of the stuff that you love listening to, all of the sort of the prog rock albums from the 70s and 80s, if that's what your thing is, or the indie pop from the 90s. It doesn't mean you have to dump that, but you've got to have that broad spectrum right up to today, you know, so you know what's going on. I'm really glad you said that, Jeff. Good. Cool. So here's another question. We're doing okay. We've got about 10, 12 minutes left, Jeff.
Okay.
Left, Jeff. That rhymes. I'm gonna write a rap, by the way. I've decided I'm gonna write a rap. I'm gonna have a go at it. So this is a question from Susan Angoy. Oh, I've got my DJ name as well.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, MC Squared. Whee. What is your right? So what is your view on the fall from prominence of English-based pop from the charts? The prediction is that Spanish language, Latin American, Spanish Caribbean, and style pop plus Indian languages and culture-based pop will take over the charts and streaming numbers within the next 3 years, it looks like. So I mean, we've already got this huge sort of tidal wave of Spanish music that's been hitting us over the last sort of year to 18 months, haven't we, Jeff?
Yes.
What do you think? What are your predictions about where you think music is going to go?
Well, I tend to, I don't know if it's going to be that extreme, but I definitely think there's much more an influence. I mean, my gosh, look at America. It's becoming much more influenced with ethnic groups now and everything. You know, that's why I think our whole political situation is going to evolve in the next 10 years, but that's a whole nother subject. We will not go there.
No politics.
Yeah, no politics. But getting to you guys, what this is where one of the successes that I think Martin has had some of it as well. Over the years, I have. I mean, one of the area, again, you know, I wish we had another hour because I would talk about my international, you know, some of the areas that really helped me, which is why I know Martin. That's the reason I'm here, is because of me getting outside of America to get to different countries, to meet other people. And this is where I'm getting into different languages. I've written, you know, I told you I wrote Josh Groban and Placido Domingo was written in Italian. I've written, you know, Portuguese, Korean, Japanese. But this is where you can do the same thing. There's no reason why you can't do what I'm doing. What I'm saying is get translations from your songs. So get ahead of the curveball, the 8-ball. And Susan, you know, if you have some songs that you think would be applicable to the Spanish market, Latin American market, get some translations and start pitching those songs in those territories. You know, that's, you know, the business is another subject which we don't have time to talk about, but that's my feeling, is getting your songs to have more leverage, to have more versatility where they can be recorded in different languages. Does that make sense, Martin? I think. Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely something that we need to keep our eye on the charts. We need to see what's happening and looking ahead of it. You know, we've had this massive sort of Spanish influence coming in with Despacito and everything that sort of followed along with it. And it's important to remember that everything is kind of cyclical as well. You know, there will be things that will just keep coming back around. And everybody, you know, all of the labels are looking for the next big thing, the next new thing. You know, that for a certain amount of time, this is what happens typically with labels, is that somebody will bring out a record that breaks all the boundaries. Okay, it happened with, this isn't a language thing, but it happened with Jagged Little Pill, Alanis Morissette, this angry woman suddenly. And then all the time, I remember all of the labels were saying, we're looking for songs for an artist that's just like Alanis Morissette, you know, and it's like they're all sort of jumping on the bandwagon. And that would have happened with Despacito as well, you know, we're looking for the Spanish influence, blah, 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 blah. But the smart labels are the ones that are going, okay, what's next? You know, you can ride that for a little while, you can ride that wave for a little while. Then it's like, okay, what's going to be next? So it's important to look ahead, but also just try stuff out. Now, I believe I heard one song recently, which is one of these, I can't remember the name of the act, but it's one of these Latin songs, artists rather, but it had a reggae chop in it. And it wasn't a guitar, it was actually the little sort of, the little electric piano chop that's going in the thing. And I was going, wow, that's like Spanish mixed with reggae, but with a kind of like, it was almost like a trap beat to it or something. And I think that it's called, I'm going to write it in here, the song is called Calma. Okay, now you heard it here first, everybody. I think that there is going to be a resurgence in reggae, but not reggae as we know it. I think it's going to be mixed with kind of hip hop, with trap stuff. So it's still got that urban influence that, of course, came from a lot of the island stuff. But I think it's going to be very, very modern kind of music, but with little reggae chops in it, little reggae influences in it. That's what I think. And I'm going to head down that route for some of my songs. So I'm ahead of the gate just in case it happens. And even if it happens in 5 years' time, I'll have stuff ready to go.
There is a song. Yeah, no, I was just going to interrupt. There is a song that I have that's in a reggae group right now that just is being called Points of Interest. And they're big. It's from the UK, but they're originally from Jamaica.
Right.
It's a good song. It's called "Walk to the Beat of My Heart." You can check it on Spotify probably in a few weeks. But what I think saying, guys, trends are important. These are very important things. But don't get too caught up in trying to chase something. That this is going to be the next. I got to get on this thing bandwagon. Be true to who you are. And that's, and I can say that by myself because 35 years in this business, I don't chase a flavor. I try to be Jeff Franzel, and in whatever you're writing, be who you are. And I'm not saying not to do, and for example, I don't know if any of you saw, but somebody had just volunteered to write Spanish lyrics, for you people. Check that out. But I'm saying, write from what you believe is your voice. And I can assure you, if you follow that heart, follow your heart, you're going to find a place in this business. That's your business. That's the music business. In my mind, is to be honest who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Cool, great. Thanks for that question, Susan. Right, this is probably it's going to be our final question. So we'll have to be fairly brief on this, Jeff. We've got 4 minutes.
Okay.
It's a question to me, but I'm sure you'll have some input, Jeff. But it says, question to Martin. I'm not really making songs, but jingles, mainly without text, and some may get text. Do you think it is welcome to put my songs into the songwriting community? And what do you think? Is it worthy to put text to songs even when I publish them on the community without the text on them? So does it help to have the melody? So Ernie, absolutely, put whatever you have up there. The thing that has propelled me faster through the music business more than anything else is collaboration. And some people are great at just coming up. If you're writing jingles, this is fabulous, because a jingle has got to sell a product in like 15 seconds. That is ultimate hook writing. And you listen to jingles on the radio or on adverts, you may get 30 seconds of a jingle, and it's like, that's got to help sell the product. And it's got to be hooky and to the point. So if you've got jingles that you've been writing, just little snippets of things, put them up on the Academy website, on the songwriting community, and have people, just say, hey, look, I'd love you guys to tell me what you would do with this. Please feel free to write some top line melodies, to write some lyrics to as well. And you don't necessarily, if you have a melody that you can put on there, great. If you don't, even just having a cool kind of track, that's a big thing these days, to have a cool feel to something that people can write to. And if you get something that's working with somebody, and it could be on the other side of the planet, this is the beauty of the internet and the community, then you can always expand it to make it a longer piece of music. So that would be my answer to that. Jeff, would you sort of?
Just quickly, one of my mentoring sessions was with somebody in the Academy who is a jingle guy, and came up with these tracks. And what I was helping, the one thing I would say, I totally agree with 100% with everything Martin is saying, but give a little form to your track, having like a verse, chorus, something that can inspire a top liner, if to get involved with it. That's why I'm helping this gentleman, I can't remember his name, to give me more of, he was just giving me like a snippet of a groove. Great. Now develop it. Give me kind of what we were talking about, contrasted sections, making it sort of a song type of a journey. And I can guarantee you there are going to be top liners that are going to be dying to write to your music if it's good, which I bet you it is.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do. And why not, get a cut, get a cut as a, with a song,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't, the great thing about songwriting and collaboration is you don't have to do everything yourself. It's like, it's very rare that you'll find somebody that can do the lyrics, that play the instruments, do all of the production, all of that stuff. And it's not necessary. There are some great top liners that just come up with great melodies and lyrics. There are great lyricists that only come up with lyrics, and great track people. And it's like, well, pull everybody together and let's work together to make great music. Remember, it's better to have a third of a hit than 100% of nothing. So work together, and it's a lot more fun as well. And that's what the amazing thing about this community is. You've got people, you've seen when we signed on today, we've got people from St. Petersburg right across to Venezuela. Tonight on here, you guys should be hooking out, talking to each other, sending each other messages saying, hey, I'd love to hear some of your music, or hey, I'm going to visit Venezuela soon. I want to come and see you and write with you. This is what songwriting is all about, and you never know who you're going to write your next hit with. So just do it, say yes, and just do it. But of course, take the suitable precautions that everybody knows where you're going. That's the caveat to that. So make sure you tell people where you're going when you're hooking up a co-write for the first time. But get to know each other on the community and start doing these co-writes. Let's hear them. So thank you so much. Could you please all put your hands up and wave them around and scream and shout for Jeff Franzel. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Jeff. It's been incredible having you on here. Just incredible advice. And in 2 weeks' time, we'll be having another one of these live Q&A calls with yet another of our mentors. Jeff will definitely be coming back on another one of these calls.
I would love to.
Next time we've got Paul Statham, I believe. Paul Statham is a wonderful songwriter from the UK. He was on Dido's first album. He's sold 20 million records with Dido alone, writing No Angel, and wonderful songwriter, great mentor, and just a lovely, lovely guy. So make sure you're back here in 2 weeks' time. And one more time, just go out and tell the world, tell everybody that you know that is a songwriter, artist, or producer, how much they need to be part of this academy and help us build this incredible community around the world, please. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Jeff. And looking forward to seeing you all next time. Take care now.
Y'all. Bye-bye. Yeah.